there. I'm so interested in seeing what him and Quinn Ewers do this year. There's been so much hype.
We have a pretty dangerous running back in Blake Corum.
Maryland's got Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
A little too backyard footballers.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And yes, it's Tuesday, which has become our unofficial second day that we're doing this show. We told you at one point it would be more than one day a week, and we're there. Let's go. And you see who I'm with, the host of Restoring the Roar and local Michigan guy, my guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Excited to kind of look back and see how we did kind of ranking these guys based on where they ended up kind of thing. And getting there. We're, what, 3 months away? 3 months away from the start now?
Right around the corner.
Start doing that countdown every show. How many days till kickoff?
Right. We will definitely start that next show because I'm trying to think. You know how many right now?
No, off the top of my head.
Right. Not as many as last week, so we're good. We're getting there.
Yeah, one step closer.
That's right. What's going on, Chris, our local Vandy fan? He said right off the top, let's get this out the way. Bet the over on Vandy at 3.5 wins. I'm with that. I like that idea.
I like it.
Let's go. We betting Vandy in May. I can dig it. I can absolutely dig it. Look, I'm going to tell you something.
Love it.
At the beginning of last year, I told Anthony, and you can go back and ask him, Chris. I told Anthony, I said, if Sam Hartman does not play for Wake Forest, and I can't think it was a third game, I said, you guys can go 4-0. Yeah. I was like, you guys can go 4-0. I knew you were going to beat Hawaii, and I forget who your second game was, but I knew you could get those dubs. And at that point, Sam Hartman was out indefinitely. We didn't know when he was going to come back, and he just so happened to come back before that game and get it down. But much respect to you guys, man. And I'm on that Vandy train, baby. I'm ready. Clark Lee, let's get it.
That 3.5 looks pretty nice, actually. Looking at the schedule, like Hawaii, Alabama A&M, Wake Forest without Hartman, UNLV, Kentucky without Levis, Missouri, Florida without Anthony Richardson, Georgia comes to them. At Mississippi, home versus Auburn, at South Carolina, and at Tennessee without Hendon Hooker.
Oh yeah,
you could probably get 4, 5, 6 wins there. I like that. I might actually bet that over.
Hey, do it. They wanted to jump on for a few as I prepare for my own show. Wake has no Sam Hart 2023. Yep, he is definitely. He's over at Notre Dame. Watch out for him. Early Heisman hype, because we know how good he is. Oh, yeah, Chris said 7 wins. Hey, Chris, drop your show in the comments so we can tell everybody where to check that out and what you got going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you're a local SEC fan, and I'm pulling for you against those the big dogs, the Alabamas and the Georgias. I want my Vandy, Mississippi State. Come on, guys. Let's make it. Let's get right into it. But look, you know why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. We have been giving you all February, all season essentially, February, March. We've been talking about the best players coming out in this draft, position by position. And we're going to go look at that again. We're going to go break down position by position, see where they got picked, see if anybody got picked higher, any surprises, or people that maybe didn't even get picked. But before we do that, obviously we both have dogs in this fight. Both of our teams were represented in the draft, college and pro. How do you feel first about your pro team, the Lions? How do you feel they did in the draft? Are you good with it? Are you not? You guys made a lot of moves that first day. Like, what do you think?
I absolutely love it. We didn't stick to everyone's draft boards and, this guy's a second round guy. This guy might be a first round guy. Should get him in the second kind of deal. We just went and got difference makers now. Yep. Like, to me, the more I watch tape, the more I think we got our Alvin Kamara and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's the comparison I see on the field, of course. And in Jack Campbell, I see a lot of Luke Kuechly. So to me, we just got our day one starter at running back and inside linebacker. And then you get Brian Branch on day 2.
Yep.
Phenomenal pick. Sam Laporta, I loved him as a tight end. And then just filled out depth the rest of the way. Broderick Washington. I think Broderick Washington. I love what they did. And getting your guy in the 7th round there.
Yeah.
At wide receiver. Yeah. I love that pick. Antoine
I
Green.
messaged you that.
Yeah.
Antoine Green. Let's get it, man.
I love the thought of him playing outside and being that guy. And even once Jameson Williams comes back, he can play that other outside spot. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, you guys did amazing. And I know we've talked about the Gibbs, pick up early. And I was kind of like, baffled. But I had to look at you guys like I look at my guys. Like you said, we didn't go by everybody else's draft board. We didn't go by what they expected from us. We had a plan in mind. Now, hindsight's 2020 because I didn't see that plan of getting Swift out of there. But you said you would have mentioned to me that you kind of thought maybe it's time. Maybe they were not, they're not sold on. Not sold, but they're thinking about going in a younger direction. Yeah,
I don't know why I had that feeling, but I just had the feeling from the beginning of the offseason that Swift was gone. The entire offseason, you can go back and look on NFL Edition, North Sports Dynasty, whatever it is. There's multiple shows where I said Swift will not be a Lion week 1. I had that feeling. And then obviously getting Gibbs, I was like, well, Swift is gone. That was my immediate reaction. Yeah. And pairing him with Montgomery, I cannot wait. Behind that offensive line, too. Montgomery was getting 4 yards a carry behind the Bears offensive line. Yeah. And sorry, Nick, but that offensive line was bad.
They were rough. That's right.
Yeah. They're much better now. Much better now than they were, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dan Campbell. Thank you, Alex. That's right, Alex. We treated the experts when they expected us to zig. We zagged, baby. I'm with it.
I love it, yeah.
Let's go. All right, Chris, he said, I will be going live at 8:15, so I'm assuming 9:15 Eastern. The Golden Broom Show discussing college baseball nationwide and bringing in a special guest tonight, former Loyola Marymount head coach Jody Robinson. So, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, check him out, man. Definitely check him out. We're going to, hop over there and check that out after we finish up what we got going over here. But, yeah, I love to see that, man. That's what's up. Mm-hmm. And I know you got a college football show, man. Let me know when that starts back up. Are you waiting until the regular season or, hit us up in the comments with that, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no, so I like you. I came into this thinking one way with Washington. I'm like, we got an owner out. We made a couple moves that we needed to in the offseason. So I kind of had, I had started to do mock drafts the last week. So I kind of had an idea of there's 3 guys in the first we could potentially get, a couple guys in the second. I had my ideas. And as we've talked about, there was one guy that all I thought about, Cody Mauch. Fortunately, we did not get him.
Yeah.
It kind of hurt that not only did we not get him, we passed up on him, but the Buccaneers took him as 1 pick behind us.
Right after, yeah.
Oh, that stuck it right here. That was right in the heart right there. That hurt. And I mean, overall, like I can't lie. Like I was kind of bummed the first day. We get Emmanuel Forbes, Christian Gonzalez was there. I was 100% focused in on, getting Christian Gonzalez, and Will has kind of helped me along. One of the things that's great about this guy, Emmanuel Forbes at Mississippi State, is a ball hawk. I think tied the country with most pick sixes in his career, tied at 6. The guy can play. The size, you and I talked about, we're like those guys that are 6 foot, 200, something like that. This guy's 166, dripping wet. So, what we've been told and looking at his tape, he still gets his hand on the ball. He can still get in there on tackles. He's going to shy away from contact. But when you got a league of guys like Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, 166 ain't going to cut it. So we'll see, man. Yeah. We'll see about his ball skills and, how that translates. One of the things that we had, we ended up becoming like a top 5 defense towards the end of the year because we had this bend but don't break defense, and our guys in the middle were definitely dominating. But our secondary, we couldn't really turn the ball over. I think we got a pick 6 against the Houston Texans. You know what I mean? And like another one late against Atlanta. There was a pick that ended the game, but our secondary was not producing turnovers. So this is what we were looking for with that. And then secondly, we get Quan Martin, who played with Devin Witherspoon and Sidney Brown out of Illinois. And they had a top tier secondary. So we filled the positions we needed. Got a corner, big name corner, got a safety. You know, and then went to Ricky Stromberg in the third, and Braden Daniels got some line help. Then kind of, I don't know, went off the reservation. Kind of got, you know, a guy that's an edge, maybe a linebacker, maybe a depth piece. Got Chris Rodriguez, which is going to be interesting. But from what our guy Chris said, Rodriguez might not be it. We'll see. He doesn't have that breakaway speed, but Rodriguez is a short yardage runner, goal line guy, something that we definitely need to get up those red zone, get up that red zone efficiency. And then, you know, and we got a guy in the 7th, picked up a couple guys on the side, but all in all, hindsight, I'm good. That day and those days, I was blown, Alex. I'm not gonna lie. I was thoroughly upset.
From our conversations over Messenger, I was feeling for you, but now looking back, I agree with you. It's better now than it was draft night. Yeah.
And you know, and the way I feel right now, the same way we feel about college. Hey, let's get these guys padded up. Let's get them, you know, get them ready and practicing and going together, and let's move towards the regular season. Let's move towards that. You know. Yeah. So that is where we're at. But look, let's get into this, man. We talked about the draft. We talked about how it kind of was. Let's go into position by position and see kind of where we stood and, I mean, how things played out. And let's start right away with quarterback. As we knew, the first 3 out of the first 4 picks were quarterback with you had Bryce Young going to the Panthers at 1. You had Stroud going to the Texans at 2, and then Richardson going at 4 to the Colts. Let's talk about the Richardson one. Obviously, you and I have followed him in the SEC and a lot of that stuff this offseason. Are you surprised that he went up that high? I know the Colts needed a quarterback, but are you surprised that he was the one they chose?
I'm not, because you look at him, he compares a lot to Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts was way more accurate than Richardson is, but the athletic ability, the ability in that to run that offense you just did with Jalen Hurts, because Steichen's the head coach there in Indy now. It doesn't surprise me that they went Anthony Richardson, although part of it does because we were seeing all over the place. And I mean, the owner kind of proved it with his tweet right after the pick that said the owner wanted Will Levis. GM wanted Anthony Richardson. They got Anthony Richardson, and then Irsay was like, okay, how do people feel about taking Will Levis in the second round if he's there? I was just like, dude, come on, you can't be doing that. Like,
Dan Snyder right there. RG3 and Kirk Cousins. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But if you I don't think he should play early. He's going to. 4th overall pick pretty much dictates he's going to play early. They desperately need to fix that offensive line, and they need to hand that ball off to Jonathan Taylor a ton.
Yes.
But this is the guy that you could argue has the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks, but he also clearly has the lowest floor of the top 5 to 7 quarterbacks. Like it's a risky game Indy played by taking him.
Yeah, and it was kind of surprising. I wasn't one of these people that was on board with him going as early as he had, and we've talked about some of the shortcomings. But like you said, this guy's an athlete. He can be a Jalen Hurts, absolutely. I hate to use his name, but he can also be a Dwayne Haskins. Rest in peace. But he has the ability to play, and he can do it. But some of the stuff that should be extremely easy for you as an NFL quarterback, they make it a little more difficult than it should be. So, and for the Colts, who are definitely in transition, who are more and more, Irsay is looking kind of like Dan Snyder, which is interesting because there's actually news out there that Irsay is coming after us because we tried to come after Andrew Luck in 2019.
Yeah.
We're just connected at the hip. It's not good. But if I know anything about bad owner in that situation, it's not going to be pretty out there. And I feel for him. But look, let's go on down the list. I mean, we got the top 5 guys. We talked about him as one of the big surprises. Chris, you were with us in the comments that said this next guy, Will Levis, who dropped to the 2nd round, you said he was going to be a bust. And, I mean, his girl left him at the draft on opening day. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is kind of – we've seen what happened. Is this going to be like an Aaron Rodgers where in 15 years he's one of the greatest to do it? Or is this going to be a Josh Rosen?
That's a tough one because, I mean, you can make the argument. I know a lot of people thought Aaron Rodgers should have gone first that year when he, like, just coming out of Cal. But he also went to a phenomenal situation.
Yep.
I don't know that I'd call Tennessee a phenomenal situation. You got Derrick Henry to hand off to for we don't know how much longer. You got a bad offensive line, not too much a wide receiver. A coach that is arguably on the last year. If Tennessee starts to stumble here, he's gone. A quarterback ahead of him that says it's not my job to mentor him. So it's a tough one. I've said all along that it wouldn't shock me 5 years from now he's the best quarterback in this draft. Yeah. It also wouldn't shock me if he's on his 3rd team.
Right.
He's another very boom or bust kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, hopefully for him, he can, succeed in the NFL. You want these guys to do well. But one of the things Will and I talked about was, we saw how, he didn't have Chris Rodriguez in those first 4 games this year, and he struggled. He struggled mightily. And we look at Chris Rodriguez a year ago when he had, almost 1,400 yards, or 2 years ago, when he had almost 1,400 yards, and how everybody had projected Will Levis to be the next Andrew Luck, the best pro-style quarterback and everything. But when he didn't have a running game, it was very interesting. On top of the fact that you got Tannehill, who's very open about, this is my job until otherwise stated. And then you got Malik, which is the opposite of Levis in the sense that Malik was last year's Anthony Richardson. His ceiling was extremely high, but so was his floor. It was extremely low. And we saw what version of him we got. So it's going to be interesting to see where Levis plays into that whole role. And if he gets a little attention, man, we'll see. We will see. It's going to be, I don't know what to expect from him. But Tennessee, you're right. Tennessee is not, I mean, that's not a spot you don't want to end up. Go ahead.
Just going off of Chris's last comment there, he hasn't openly said again this year that it's not my job to mentor him, but he did say this seems like deja vu, referencing the quarterback last year and everything that went along with it. Yeah. So it's I mean, it might be a stretch to pull it's not my job to mentor him again, but when he says it's like deja vu, you kind of see the pieces falling in line there. And the rebuilt offensive line, we just got to see it. Yeah. Because the pieces are there 100%. They did a good job addressing it. We just got to actually see it come into play.
Right.
I love this response for them.
And even though, we know what he said or didn't say last year, he might not have said it this year. But the fact of the matter is, 2 years in a row, your team has spent an early pick on a quarterback. Mm-hmm. That doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for you, especially like when you got a coach that, like Alex said, on his way out. It's going to be interesting to see, what happens, how early they bring him in. The Tennessee fans need that to kind of get them jump-started. I mean, let's think about what they've dealt with. People have said, they're on their last leg. They're in rebuild mode. Their coach potentially on his way out. There were potentially talks and rumors of them shopping the best player on their team. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns around. Look, let's look at some of the other picks. I mean, Jake Haener went to the Saints. Stetson went to the Rams. You guys, what I think is a steal in Hendon Hooker. I mean, is this the future, or are we just, it's just like, hey, you just sit back, hold the clipboard for now? What are you thinking on Hendon Hooker?
This is a guy we probably don't see play for at least 2 years. And they're also in talks now with Goff on a possible extension, so we might not see him play in a Lions uniform, honestly. This is just insurance. It's still Goff's job. There's no heat on Goff for like, hey, Hendon's coming to take your job. This is just if they don't get the extension done with Goff, they're not completely screwed. You can have a guy learn the offense for a couple of years, come in, get used to the weapons. And this was my number 3 quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And to get him in round 3 as the 5th quarterback off the board, I was ecstatic. I was so happy.
I know it.
And this is another one where the more I think about it, the more I love the pick.
Yeah, he can definitely, and especially under a year of tutelage, I think he can definitely be a valuable asset to your team. And is there anybody else that got picked up? The Cliffords, Sean Clifford went to
Green Bay
Packers. Tanner McKee, the Eagles. Jaron Hall going to the Vikings. DTR to Cleveland. Like, who is there? Anybody else later on down the list? I know Aiden O'Connell went to the Raiders. I like that because he might be getting some action. Like, is there anybody else on the list that maybe you're surprised about, or Duggan fell all the way to the end?
Yeah, that one surprised me a bit. The 3 that were kind of my big surprises that I really liked: Haener to the Saints. I really like that one.
Oh yeah.
O'Connell, like you said, and I just had it in my head.
Who do you go to?
I don't know. It completely spaced. I'm gonna look it up here and then see if I can get back to it. But Matt, how did it go that quick?
Right on the tip of your tongue. You're like, wait a minute. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had it there, and then I went to go start that sentence, and then it just poof, gone.
Let's see. We got.
I'm just looking up literally every quarterback drafted to see if I get it, if I see it, then it might come back to mind.
Clayton Tune?
No.
DTR. Duggan. Is this?
Jaron Hall.
Yeah.
Going to Minnesota with Kirk Cousins on the last year of his deal. We don't know what's happening there.
Yeah. So
this gives him a potential head start on whatever quarterback comes in next if they don't bring Cousins back.
Oh yeah.
I love that pick.
Oh yeah. And look,
as a Lions fan, I hate the pick, but
right. and shout out to Andrew Faubert, who since the middle of the season has been touting this guy, has been talking about Jaron Hall out of BYU. I mean, definitely a great dual threat quarterback whose record didn't exactly wasn't an example of how well he could play. He actually kept them in a lot of those games, and a tough schedule, mind you. He had a number of tough games earlier in the year. So yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Andrew Faubert. So you just hopped in there. Let's go ahead and move down the list from quarterback. We all know everybody loves that one, unless you're a running back like myself. And this is a place that I always love to take a look at, Alex. I know kind of like you do with the O-line. And this is one that's kind of been devalued over the last couple of years. I mean, we go back to 2 years ago when Etienne and Najee Harris got picked up like 17th, 18th later in the draft. And then since then, it really has been kind of scarce earlier in the first round. But this year was different. Then started with Atlanta. Bijan Robinson going to Atlanta, and then you guys getting Gibbs. Like, what in the world, man? I mean, what a pickup. Go to the Bijan before, because we did talk about Gibbs a little bit. Bijan to Atlanta. Did you see that? Because I didn't see that.
It was, if you looked at the betting odds, it was the favorite going into Thursday there. So
really,
yeah. To me, I didn't like the fit. I mean, I like the fit, but I didn't like it at 8.
Yeah.
I just thought they had bigger needs. But man, when you look at the pieces around, for now, Desmond Ridder, I don't think it's Ridder past this year, but you got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
You got difference makers.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
if Ridder doesn't work out and you either draft a quarterback next year or take one of these top guys that could be in free agency next year, Atlanta's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. In a division that doesn't look to be immediately getting better. I mean, I know the Saints got Derek Carr and they hope for the best. But nothing that really scares you in Tampa Bay. There's nothing that, I mean, Bryce Young, Carolina, but they're still kind of in rebuild mode. Although they got Jonathan Mingo, who will, or not John, Jonathan Mingo, who we'll discuss a little bit later. It's theirs. It's theirs for the taking. And Atlanta with that running game, which was one of the top rushing teams of the year a year ago, that would be huge for them. Absolutely huge. And they got the secret weapon. They got Mr. Heineke, who will be coming in this year to show up and show out. Let's go.
He'll get a couple games this year for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, it's still crazy to look at. But now let me ask you this, because like we mentioned earlier, Gibbs, you guys picked him up at 12. And I do want to ask you if, in hindsight, you think that was the right move. But before this, because I didn't even see you guys anywhere near picking up Gibbs at 12.
No, me neither.
Well, but if Bijan wasn't there, now that we know this, do you think they would have thought to pick up Bijan if they had an opportunity at 12? No.
Gibbs was the top guy on their board.
Yeah.
Brad Holmes has said that. So they thought about taking Gibbs at 6 before Arizona called for the trade at 12. So Gibbs was absolutely in play at 6. And then you look at it at 12. A lot of people were saying if you picked him at 12, why not just pick him at 18? From what I've heard pretty much since that pick came in, oddly enough, it was the Jets that wanted to take him at 15.
Really?
Which you got Breece Hall, so that's a little confusing.
Right?
But yeah, sounds like Rodgers wanted another difference maker in the backfield there. And then there was also talk of New England valuing those two running backs and be willing to take them at 14. And then right as Detroit takes Gibbs, then you see New England trade out. I think it's the same thing where Seattle took Witherspoon at 5, and then we were like, oh, crap, what do we do? I think Gibbs and Robinson might have been the guys for New England at 14.
It makes sense.
And then that trade happened. I was shocked about Gibbs, and then I was ecstatic about Gibbs.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we talked about how he is. We talked about, great vision, great, ability to cut, but, also his great hands out of the backfield. The guy can play. And to be honest, in what was perceived as a down year for Alabama, he was one of the bright spots, one of the few bright spots offensively, with their lack of wide receivers. So, hey, more power to you guys. And now definitely with Swift out, you got a younger, healthier back coming in here to pair with David Montgomery, who, like you said, was even without a line last year was pretty solid. So that's definitely a nice pickup. I wish we could have got him.
Well, and the interesting thing I took from Brad Holmes talking about Gibbs is he said that David Montgomery is our running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is our weapon.
Yeah.
So look for Gibbs to be used all over the place, thrown out as a wide receiver from time to time. Probably 2 back sets with Gibbs going out in routes and look for Gibbs to be a chess piece for Ben Johnson. I cannot wait.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and especially to see what they were able to do with Jamal Williams last year and Swift when Swift was healthy. Wow, watch out for sure. For sure, So let's go down the list. Charbonnet out of UCLA and actually formerly from Michigan. He goes to Seattle. Kendre Miller.
I didn't like that pick.
Just the Seattle one?
Yeah.
Because they have Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Like, why? It doesn't make much sense right there.
I mean, Seattle's always loaded up on running back, so I kind of understood that. But it's a position I would have filled later, that backup running back, personally. And me as like a fantasy footballer, like dynasty guy, you just killed all hope for Charbonnet. Because Charbonnet was one of those guys where if he went to the right team in the draft, if you're doing a dynasty rookie draft, he might be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Now, for a lot of people, he probably wasn't even on the board in like a 3 or 4 round rookie draft. So, yeah, I was bummed by that one for sure.
Yeah, and he definitely got picked around the time or a little earlier than I might have expected. Kendre Miller goes to the Saints. Tajay Spears goes to Tennessee. A-Chain going to the Dolphins. Bigsby going to Jacksonville. Rashad Johnson going to the Bears. I like this pick. I do.
Too.
You lost Montgomery. You know, you're trying to work with Khalil Herbert, who is solid, but with that line that they had a year ago, you still left some things to be desired. You bring in somebody like a Roschon Johnson, who a lot of people don't know him as much, and rightfully so. He was the backup to, Bijan Robinson. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have a stud in front of you. They're not going to pick up on this guy. But this guy's a solid back, tough guy to bring down, hard-nosed runner. I love them getting this pick, and I see he can contribute this year, man. I'm looking forward to him.
Oh, yeah, he's the day one starter as the power back for Chicago. I absolutely love this pick. Like you said, Khalil Herbert's kind of your overall running back one, but here's your thumper. Here's your guy where if you need 2 yards and you're going right up the middle, you give it to Roschon Johnson, he's going to get it for you. I absolutely love that pick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. So is there anybody else more down the line that maybe you like? And I said Rodriguez went to us. I will say this. Deuce Vaughn was picked up by my arch rival, the Cowboys. And I would have been upset. I would have been angered, but I gotta be honest, man. What Jerry Jones and the Cowboys did was amazing, and how they were able to draft him. For those of you who don't know, Deuce Vaughn's father is actually a scout for the Cowboys. So Jerry Jones allowed the father to call from the Cowboys organization and call his son and say, hey, you want to come to work with me on Monday? And he said, yeah. I would love that. And that was beautiful. And seeing the emotions, it almost makes me believe that Cowboys are kind of real and, they're human. But, then I hear like Janae start talking crap. I'm like, nope, no, they're not. No, they're not.
No, I'll say that was the best moment of the draft.
Yeah,
bar none. That was so cool to see. I love that pick for them.
Yeah.
My best fit for a running back was Devon A-Chain to Miami. That's probably the best overall fit in the draft. Player to scheme, A-Chain to Miami. You get the fastest running back in the draft, and you pair him with arguably the 2 fastest receivers in the NFL. Oh man, that's a lot of speed.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen what Devon A-Chain can do. This guy is electric. Not only can you put him at running back, but he's proven deadly at return as well. Kick return and punt return. So yeah, definitely get him out there. I love to see what he's going to bring to keep up Seattle. Not only did they get Charbonnet early, they got Kenny McIntosh from Georgia a little bit later, who I thought was going to go a lot higher. I mean, that's a crowded running back room now in Seattle. I mean, depending on how highly they value Kenneth Walker. I mean, do Charbonnet and McIntosh? I mean, you said, Charbonnet might not get this much attention. Does McIntosh get any attention?
I think what you're going to see is Walker with his speed and running ability. He'll kind of be your outside the tackles guy. Charbonnet and McIntosh are going to fight for those in between the tackle carries. That's going to be who's going to be your short yardage back, who's going to be your power back. Both of them have the ability to do it, and both in different styles. Charbonnet is thick. He's hard to bring down, but he's more of that one-cut guy. McIntosh is a lot of he plays that like almost Earl Campbell style football where you hand him the ball, he's going to drop his shoulder and just get through. And
Absolutely.
I love what both of them bring to the table, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see all three kind of share the load, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I can't wait to see how that Seattle backfield is and how they can help Geno Smith in the coming year. And real quick, we had mentioned the Jets. Israel Abeniconda out of Pittsburgh came and was drafted by the Jets in the 5th round. I love this because now we know about the speed. We know about the athleticism that's already in that backfield. Now you get a bruiser. You get a guy that can carry the rock, 15, 20 times a game. This dude has had games where Pittsburgh leaned on him. We know their offense and that running style. He had over 300-yard game this past year. So, hey, this is a good move for them because it's like a lightning and thunder. You know what I mean? You got Carter, you got Breece Hall that are dynamic out of the backfield, can do something. Now you go in 3rd and 1 or 3rd and short or goal line, and you bring a Abeniconda in there to rumble over those guys. So I really like this move for the Jets.
Yeah, me too. And one kind of undrafted guy, and I know he's another Lion, but for us to get Mohamed Ibrahim undrafted, that was one where I saw it and I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, he was still there.
Right.
He was one where he actually had me worried every time we played Minnesota because of him and him alone. Like, it was just like, this guy's a problem to bring down, and you kind of get him for a chance to be that 3rd or 4th running back. I'm excited about that too. I love that. Yeah.
I was surprised that he didn't get drafted. And then when I saw that you guys picked him up after, I was like, God, Lee, come on, man. Y'all just getting everybody, man. Come on. Yeah. I definitely wanted him. Let's move on down the list. And this is a very deep part in the draft. And hey, I'm gonna let you go. Like, what do you think? We know Jackson Smith-Njigba went to Seattle, which was solid. Quentin Johnston went to Chargers. Zay Flowers to the Ravens. And Addison to the Vikings. All 4 of those, I love the fit. I love going in that. I mean, Jackson Smith, you see, he's going to be right there with the big guy, Metcalf. You know what I mean? Quentin Johnson has 2 great guys to learn from. Zay Flowers now is a part of a very big wide receiver core. You got 3 or 4 guys in there now. You know what I mean? Yep. Addison's filling the role. What are your thoughts, man? Do you think people went where they were supposed to go? And is anybody on here we're not seeing that went a little higher? Or what are your thoughts about in this position?
So me personally, I had Zay Flowers as an early round 2 guy. And I was shocked to see him go at 22, but I didn't hate it. That fit in Baltimore. You give Lamar somebody to throw to down the field. I absolutely love that. Jackson Smith-Njigba paired with not only Metcalf, but now you can throw Lockett on the outside. To be that speed guy down the field there. Good Lord, that offense is going to be scary in Seattle. Quentin Johnston, I mean, Herbert now has 2 towers to throw to on the outside with Johnson and Mike Williams. And you still have Keenan Allen in the slot. Jordan Addison with Justin Jefferson. Why did he have to go there? We're talking about getting everybody. Jordan Addison going there. I was just like, come on. The day 2 and 3 receivers, though, the order kind of fell apart, in my opinion. Like, you had Hyatt and Tillman still there in the 3rd round. Downs went, 3rd or 4th round?
Downs went 3rd round, 16th pick.
Yeah, that one shocked me. I thought he was a high day 2 or high round 2 pick.
Me too.
Same with Hyatt and Tillman. I thought all 3 of those guys. There was a lot of really good fits though for this receiver class.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested in seeing Jonathan Mingo, see what he can do now paired with Bryce Young and see if they can like resurrect that passing offense. There is somebody that you and I did talk about, and I know people are going to immediately look at your background and say, oh, this is the reason why he's kind of coming on him. But I remember you and I had talked about Jalen Reed at Michigan State, and you had thought he kind of got picked early. I thought he was going to definitely be behind a lot of those other guys. Was it Green Bay that got him?
Yeah, Green Bay got him.
Yeah, which was surprising in itself, but
I don't hate the fit of him going to Green Bay, but like you said, I thought it was early. I mean, he was the 6th receiver taken.
Yeah.
I had him closer to 10 on my rankings. I mean, like I said, Hyatt went 3rd round, Tillman, Downs, and Reed still went before Marvin Mims, Nathaniel Dell, all guys I had ranked ahead of him. Like I said, him going to Green Bay, I don't hate it because he can be that slot. Yeah. And I think it's a really good fit for Jordan Love to get him. But yeah, it was just early for me. That's all I gotta say.
I hear you on that. Shout out to my guy Eric Kelly, Notre Dame fan watching. I hate to give you any reason to hype up UNC. Blows my mind that Downs was 11th wide receiver taken. Yeah, way too low. And side note, the Michigan background is highly offensive. That's when are we gonna have that Notre Dame Michigan rivalry? Bring that back. All right.
2033?
Yeah. I got 10 years on that one.
Just saying. Yeah. They're the ones that backed out. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, man. There we go. Yo, right, like we said, it was a deep draft. I'm going to go far down the list. You got Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia getting picked up by Green Bay, another solid receiver. Puka Nacua out of BYU, very underrated, but great stats. Yeah. Parker Washington, somebody that you mentioned.
I love this pick.
To Jacksonville. That's a sweet pick and a great position.
Yeah. I mean, you pair him with Calvin Ridley and the guy they got from Arizona last year. Chris is gonna hate me for this. Man. Free agency.
Yep. I keep trying to think of Ridley coming in there, but you just said
yeah, me too.
Arizona.
I'm just Googling the Jaguars roster.
Yeah. Sorry for that. This is a college show, guys. Christian Kirk. Yeah, got paid all that money. Yeah.
Yeah. You pair Kirk, Ridley, and now Parker Washington.
Yeah.
To go with Evan Engram, Etienne, like this. Yeah. Just an embarrassment of riches for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, Trevor Lawrence, the rich get richer. Because I definitely we've looked at him. I definitely see that team as potentially a favorite, especially in that division with a couple other things going. A lot of those other teams in rebuild. But I love that pick there. Wake Forest, A.T. Perry goes to the Saints in the 6th round. Xavier Hutchinson, yeah, and then Xavier Hutchinson about 10 picks later to the Texans. I mean, you guys getting Antoine Green. Honestly, and I know, we can say a lot of other years it might be deep in the wide receiver room, but this year, you look at some of those names. I've read like 4 or 5 names that are 5th round and above that are extremely good and that could definitely make contributions to a team this year. So pay attention to those guys because they're gonna show up and show out. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. Alrighty, let's move this thing right along to another position that I was very eager to look at, even though my guy Will told me we don't need a tight end at 16. I didn't care. I wanted him. I didn't get him, and he didn't even go in the 1st round. So Dalton Kincaid went first to Buffalo. Sam Laporta went to you guys in the 2nd round. And talk to me a little bit about that because I love that pick out of Iowa. This guy can play.
Yeah. Well, this was the guy that the only one I liked better than him was Darnell Washington.
Yep.
And I want to know what the heck happened there for him to fall as far as he did. But Laporta's exactly what Detroit's looking for as a tight end. He's not great at any one thing, but he's very good at everything. He's a good blocker. He's a good route runner, good hands. Where the 3 tight ends we had last year, Brock Wright was more of a blocker. Mitchell was more of the receiver. Zylstra was more of the kind of fullback / tight end. Laporta can do it all for you. This makes it so you only really have to have one of them on the field, and then you can throw a Brock Wright in there in your 2 tight end sets. He can be your blocking tight end. Especially with Jameson Williams out. It's looking like the first 6 games. I'm still thinking it's going to be brought down to 3 to 4. But with Williams out, this just gives you another weapon for Goff to go to. And I think this is going to be kind of what people expected Hawkinson to be, because Laporta doesn't get injured as often.
Right.
So, I'm very excited about this pick.
Are they the same size, or Laporta's big and beefy?
Laporta, 6'4", 250. So, yeah, Hawkinson, I believe, is a little taller.
Okay.
But I'll just look here. Hawkinson, 6'5", 250. So, yeah, pretty much exactly the same size. The only difference is Laporta is not going to cost $12 million this year, and probably closer to 15 to 20 next year.
Jeez, yeah. Worth it. Hawkinson is that he's evolved into that type of tight end, but that's a pretty hefty price tag.
Yep.
Oh man, so definitely want to get guys cheaper. Michael Mayer, who I alluded to earlier, who I definitely wanted, ended up going early second round to the Raiders, which
I was shocked.
I didn't see that coming, but now it kind of, you got Jimmy G over there. We're gonna see what that offense does. You got one of the better rushing games. They lost Waller. Could this work out for the Raiders?
Oh yeah. This is one where as soon as they traded up, I thought they were going quarterback.
Yeah.
But then when they went Michael Mayer, it's like, you know what? That's a really good pick. Like you said, losing Waller and Foster Moreau, don't forget. They used both tight ends quite a bit.
That's right.
And this gives you that guy. He's the best all-around tight end in this draft.
Yeah.
And Jimmy G liked to throw to George Kittle a lot.
Yep.
So get him another big, solid tight end to get the ball to. That was a phenomenal pick.
And before George Kittle, he threw to Gronk whenever Brady was out. You know what I mean? So this guy's had big tight ends. We've seen that Michael Mayer has been compared to Gronk or is one of those type of guys. So, yeah, I love this pick for them. Definitely wish Washington would have got it, but I see why we didn't. And for the most part, everything else, your guy, Luke Shoemaker, going to Dallas. They desperately needed a tight end. Luke Musgrave going to the Packers, who also were
Green Bay doubling up on tight end.
Yeah. In second and third round, they also got Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State. I mean, this, among other moves that they made, getting Van Ness in the first round was intriguing to me as well. But to get 2 tight ends back to back, well, right? I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I'm sitting here I was like, wait a minute, like I like Van Ness. I was high on the guy, but I wasn't that high on him.
I was not high on. Well, I was high on him in the second round.
Right. I was high on him at his position, not overall. You know what I mean? That was definitely surprising. But you had mentioned earlier Darnell Washington out of Georgia. I mean, he absolutely had a great combine. He's making one-handed catches. His size blew everybody out of the park. We all loved it. But then he goes all the way, goes all the way down to the third round.
Almost the end of the third round, yeah.
Right, by the Steelers, who already have a great tight end. So it kind of makes you wonder, is this just depth? Is this just the Pittsburgh way? Because, they like big blocking, bruising tight ends. Or what? How did he fall? Like,
I have no idea why he fell. I was just looking it up here. It says concerns around his knees.
Ooh, okay.
He did have a knee scope at one point for cartilage flare-up, but outside of that, has no recollection of any knee injuries. But I mean, a guy that big, you're going to worry about the knees, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But to put him behind Pat Freiermuth in Pittsburgh, good Lord. You're having questions about the left tackle, there's your left tackle. You just you stick him as the tight end next to the left tackle, and
you're good. You're good. Just chip that guy. Just all you gotta do is chip him. You're good. You know, he's gonna help them out for sure.
He'll chip a lot of people to the ground. He's
yeah, I was about to say, you're right.
Yeah, no, that was a phenomenal pick.
Absolutely, the way, and then the fact that they were to get him that late, and then the last run on tight ends in the third round, I think this was in the compensatory picks, was San Francisco got Cameron Latu from Alabama. Then you in the fifth round, you got Josh Wiley going from Cincinnati to Tennessee, and Payne Durham out of Purdue going to Tampa Bay. I think that's a nice solid pickup for them. But I mean, hey, we had a buttload of tight ends get picked up, and I don't know, maybe I'm different. Is this the most we've had? You know, I don't ever remember this many tight ends getting picked up, or there being such a need.
Yeah, well, what you look, there was 15 tight ends drafted.
Yeah.
If anyone can tell me the last time 15 tight ends were drafted or more power to you, because I got no idea.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, there was, well, and a lot early too, because if you look at it, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of the 15 were done by the end of the third.
Right.
And then you had another 4 in the fifth and 2 in the seventh. Like, it was a lot of early tight ends, which, yeah, this was a very impressive tight end class. I mean, we were saying that all along. But I can't remember one that was this good.
No, and it's very interesting to see that, you know, all these teams are now starting to value tight ends. And, you know, Will and I were talking about it. A lot of teams, it seems like, are looking for the next Gronk, the next Kittle, the next Kelsey, you know, some Darren Waller, you know, somebody that can come in, take over a game from the tight end position and, you know, have the blocking ability of a lineman, but also the hands of a wide receiver and the speed and things like that. So, hey, we'll see if these guys show up and help their teams out. Let's move on to my guy's favorite area, the offensive line. We're in a couple of tackles with the guards in the center, with the interior guys. Talk to me. We've seen what happened. We've seen some of the picks, some of the surprises. But hey, 5 guys in the first round. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought all 5 of those tackles realistically should have gone first round. You could make an argument for Anton Harrison. But for an offense like Jacksonville, it's going to pass as much as they are. Getting Anton Harrison to be your left tackle or your right tackle is a very good pick. I love that. Pittsburgh getting Broderick Jones. I mean, we just talked about Washington being your left tackle. Pair him up with his old left tackle at Georgia. Get that chemistry going there. Again, love that pick. Skoronski for Tennessee. Again, great pick. Darnell Wright for Chicago. Like, I thought all the tackles were phenomenal picks in the right spots.
Yeah.
The guards, I was shocked Torrance fell as far as he did.
Yeah.
To go 59 to Buffalo.
Yeah. I was surprised he was the third guard taken.
Yeah, well, it depends how you look at it, too, because this has him as the fourth. And mind you, depends on how you view Bergeron and Cody Mock.
Very true. Yep.
And Steve Avila, for that matter, because Avila can play all 3 interior spots. Mock could realistically play all 5 spots. Bergeron can play tackle or guard, although they're all probably built more for guard. So that's why they're listed that way here. But again, like, Avila going to the Rams was a perfect fit. Getting Bergeron for Atlanta, another phenomenal pick. Cody Mock for Tampa. I mean, pairing him right beside Ryan Jensen. It's Ryan Jensen Jr. Yeah, I know you're upset about that, but
I don't want to talk about it.
and then you get Osiris Torrance for Josh Allen.
Yeah,
like, that is just nasty. I mean, then you go to the centers. Like, Joe Tippmann going to the Jets. Love it. John Michael Schmitz for the Giants. To me, that was an A-plus pick. I absolutely love that one.
I wanted that one too. Yeah.
You guys getting Ricky Stromberg at 97, though. That was another very, very good pick.
I love watching. I've watched a lot of his tape, and he what I've heard is that he's a coach's dream. What I've seen, he's a hog. He's a Razorback. He's somebody that's just a mauler. Hey, if I couldn't get Cody Mauch, I'm glad I got here at Ricky Stromberg.
And then Luke Whippler going late 6th round. I was surprised by that one. He was a guy I had late day 2, early day 3. Yeah. But Cleveland getting him, keeping him in state was great. Seattle getting my guy Oluwatimi to compete for that starting spot. I love that. Jarrett Patterson going the end of the 6th.
Were you surprised by Oluwatimi going not until the 5th?
No, I thought everything I was seeing was 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there.
Okay.
A lot of it is these other guys, they've still got the potential that you can see. Oluwatimi's kind of a finished product. You're pretty much getting what you're getting. And he's needs a bit more strength to his game. There's a lot of times where he'll get locked on the guy, but then doesn't really push him anywhere.
Gotcha.
So there's that. Once you get him a bit stronger, then he's a very solid center for you. But he's a guy that'll compete for that starting center spot right away for Seattle. But I mean, Jarrett Patterson, 6th round. Like, you're getting potential starters in the 5th and 6th rounds in this year's offensive line draft. That's how loaded this was.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see. And shout out to the Ravens, who ended up picking at guard Andrew Voorhees in the 7th round. You and I had mentioned, obviously the injury is going to prohibit him from being on the field this year, but we saw that the heart that he had by still doing the bench press and putting up that, number to it. And look, I think that's a perfect team to go to. They are the Steelers. You know what I mean? Where you got hard-nosed guys, good guys. They take care of their players. You hear about the Ravens way. I mean, hey, look, that's starting to build up to be a really stacked team. You know what I mean? Yeah. And especially in the next couple years, and now you got your quarterback locked up. So, I love that move that they made. Obviously, like I had mentioned, we get Ricky Stromberg. We got Braden Daniels as well at guard. He's a guard or tackle. There's from what Will thinks they're moving him into guard. He doesn't really know about the tackle, but we'll see. Because we did sign Andrew Wiley to play tackle.
Yeah.
So we're going to figure out where Daniel's going to go, but we still have a gaping hole at guard, which is why I was really big on getting Cody Mauch, because he can play all 5 positions. And if we can stick him in there at guard, I thought that would have been ideal for us, but it happens the way it happens. Any sleepers? Oh yeah.
Dawan Jones going in the 4th round to Cleveland.
Yep.
That's you get him as your right tackle with Conklin probably on the way out, and then you've got Jedrick Wills as your left tackle. That's 2 towers, 2 massive guys playing tackle. Dawan Jones moved very well for his size. He's very strong, very athletic. He's a guy that if I'm Jack Conklin, they're starting right tackle right now, I might be looking for other jobs.
Oh yeah,
because there's a chance you're on your way out.
And this guy's he's not small by any means. Okay,
no.
He's the type of dude that they would call tiny because he is so large. I think he's in the 370s, isn't he?
6'8", 360.
Yeah, that's. Woo. And the guy can move. But 4th round, he got picked up in another move that Dallas made that just. They're trying to spite me even more. And they get Asim Richards from North Carolina in the 5th round. I can't stand y'all. But Maryland gets Jalen Duncan, who is a project. But, I mean, hey, he's got size. Are you surprised that he dropped all the way down to the 6th, though?
A little, just based on some of these guys that went before him.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the fact that he went that late because, like you said, a lot of these guys – I'd probably say right after you guys got Braden Daniels. Well, I even thought Blake Freeland was a project personally.
Yeah.
But pretty much from right after you guys picked Braden Daniels to the end, like Carter Warren, Colby Sorsdahl, who we got, Asim Richards, McClendon, Duncan, all these guys, I thought they were all kind of projects.
Yeah.
So pretty much whatever kind of order they went in, they were all kind of clumped in that same group. So I didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, buddy. So there's a number of good linemen gone early, and hey, let's go. There's a lot of teams that have holes. We talked about Pittsburgh needed it, Chicago needed it. We are desperate in need of guards and potentially a tackle as well. So hey, this is our place to go. And if you guys know me, Washington Football Weekly, I always have 10, 11, 12, 13 linemen on my team at the final 53 because I need my line. All right. I need my own line. I love those guys. So let's move on. We've done the offensive side of the ball. Let's look on defense. And this was one of those positions that everybody was all about. I'm going to bring the D line, the edge with the tackles. We know Jalen Carter didn't go till 9. We know Tyree Wilson went to the Raiders at 7. But I want to bypass the two of them because both of them we kind of knew where they're going. We knew they were going to be up there higher. But I want to go back to something we talked about earlier, which both of our ideas of a terrible pick. And I love the guy. He could play, but nowhere near the 13th overall pick by the Packers.
No.
And Lucas Van Ness. And I just want to tell you some of the people he was picked up before. He was picked up before Myles Murphy, Philippe Azuma, Isaiah Foskey, Keon White. He was picked up.
I had him below guys like Zach Harrison, Byron Young, like some guys that were considered third-round guys.
All the way down. So what? Help me understand this. As somebody in a team from your division, what possesses somebody to take this guy this early? What do you see that nobody else saw?
Well, if you turn on the tape, you see elite pass rush potential because almost every time he was on the field, he was wreaking havoc in the passing game. Right. That's the thing. I have a hard time drafting a guy in the first round that wasn't even a starter at a spot like D-line where there's 4 guys starting at Iowa.
Right.
Like, I get that he was a pass rush specialist, but again, you didn't crack the starting lineup, and I was supposed to give you millions upon millions of dollars. That's where I understand the talents and everything, but to me, that was immediately, okay, red flag, you're a second-round guy at best.
Right.
Like,
that's frustrating. I can't even fathom why you would, and especially after you move on from Aaron Rodgers, your team needs help on offense to secure Jordan Love, whatever hopes and potential you think he has, and you go defense, but you don't even go best defensive player on the board. You don't even go best player position on the board. So, bro, man, we're playing checkers, and they're swimming right now. They're not even anywhere near the game we're playing. I mean, maybe, and who knows? Maybe this guy shows out, and by this time next year, we're all here with egg on our face. Who knows? But all conventional wisdom says no way. Yeah.
Well, and another guy we just forgot to mention that he went over as well, Nolan Smith.
Right.
Like, to me, I was sitting there, and I was like, oh, man, Green Bay could get Nolan Smith or Myles Murphy. They'd fit perfectly across from Rashawn Gary. And they did that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm okay with that as a Lions fan. Now, we'll see if this time next year, like you said, if that's the same case. But right now, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good that they got him. Go ahead. Like,
yeah, you can take him. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, hey, we and I alluded to this earlier. We talked about the guys that got picked up early. Obviously, Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson. Myles Murphy gets picked up by the Bengals, which I like, but almost out of the first round, all the way at pick 29. Are you surprised by that after he was kind of looked at a little earlier?
I'm not really surprised. And what killed him was his lack of pass rush moves.
Yeah.
He's got a bull rush, and that's about it. It doesn't really do the speed rush very well. Doesn't really have a rip or swim or a spin or anything like that. And I think him going with Sam Hubbard and those kind of guys in Cincinnati is a very good thing for him.
Yeah.
But when we did the edge rushers in our previous show, I said that if Myles Murphy develops some of these pass rush moves, he's up there with Will Anderson, with those kind of guys, with Tyree Wilson. He's a couple moves away from being a real problem for offensive lines.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's a team that's already on the cusp, of greatness, being in the Super Bowl a couple years back and then last year getting all the way to the championship. So this only helps them. And to pick him up so early is definitely pretty solid. I want to go to one of your guys on the inside. We're going to D tackle for a second. You talked about him. You were excited about him, Mazi Smith. But were you this excited? Did you see him getting picked up 27th by Dallas?
I was shocked. He was a guy I had like 35 to 45 at best. Now, I think Dallas was in the same kind of scenario we were in with Witherspoon. I think they zeroed in on Dalton Kincaid being their guy, which is why Buffalo traded up, in my opinion. So when that happened, they're like, crap, what do we do? And maybe they didn't get a trade offer they liked. And then you start to look at what their weaknesses were last year, and they were not very good at stopping the run. Yeah. So you go get the best run stuffing defensive tackle. Mazi Smith fits that defense very well in what they're trying to do. And especially if, by the sounds of it, they're moving Micah Parsons to almost DN full-time. From what I saw, maybe Ash and Janae can kind of touch on that in one of their shows. That's just what I was hearing. I don't know if I'm right or not. But if you've got him on the edge almost full-time, getting somebody like Mazi Smith to play down there beside him, kind of eat up some of those bodies for Micah, that's a great fit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I'm excited that they got him. Now, they got him. Well, correction. I'm not excited that they got him, okay, because it's my enemy. But I know this is a good move for them. But then you look like, I think, 2 or 3 picks down the line, and then you get Bryan Bresee, who another guy that was, higher up on the list, and he drops down this far. Have you heard any reports on him? Because I didn't see him dropping.
That was right around where I had him. I had him as the third defensive tackle going, and right around that spot. You look earlier in the draft process, and some people had him up as high as 6 to Detroit.
Right.
And then you started to kind of see questions of, well, how much does he really want it? There were work ethic kind of came into question a little bit, plays off on tape. And then it kind of, defensive tackle is the same as where I was talking offensive tackle in our offensive line episode is what are you asking them to do? What scheme are you running? Do you need a gap plugging, run stuffing defensive tackle like Mazi Smith where Dallas needed him? Or do you need that smaller, more athletic guy that can push the pocket like a Kalijah Cansey, like a Bryan Bresee? Because Brezee's small enough where he could almost play on that outside edge.
Right.
So, and he's athletic enough he could. But pairing him, like I just said, with Mazi Smith alongside Micah Parsons, if you put Bryan Bresee on the same side as Cameron Jordan, that's it. You can run stunts and tricks and all sorts of stuff, and then you can still just push the pocket from the interior with him. Bryan Bresee to New Orleans is a phenomenal fit, especially after they lost all their D tackles. That was right around where I actually had him in my final mock draft going to New Orleans. So
wow, and I think you're absolutely right that it's going to be a great fit to restock that D line, because as we saw, a lot of their guys went to Atlanta, if not anywhere, if not elsewhere. And having a guy like this from Clemson who know how good he is, man, that could definitely help them. So not going to mention many other D tackles. I do want to mention Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin going to Pittsburgh. I love that pick. You're talking about a team that I think could really benefit from having a big guy on the inside. I know there was conversation about them potentially looking at Deron Payne, just like you guys. So getting this and filling that need in the middle and having somebody to help Hayward, and then obviously you got TJ Watt on the edge. He could step in there and make things happen, man. I'm excited to see it.
Oh yeah, I think he's a day one starter. The only other D tackle I really want to mention is two more, I guess. Chicago getting Javon Dexter. I thought that was a phenomenal pick. I really liked that pick for them. And then one of my favorite guys towards the end of the draft process here, Adiba Ware from Northwestern. I'm not even going to try and say the first name.
Right.
But I loved what he brings to the table. And for Indianapolis to get him, pair him alongside Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, those kind of guys, he might even end up playing the end for them. He's that athletic. Like, I mean, if you remember back to the combine, this is a guy that's 285 somewhere in there and ran a 4.49 40.
Right.
The guy can move.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what he does for Indianapolis.
Yeah. And they're trying. They had a number of picks that were decent, even though we questioned their first one. But that's definitely a solid one. And the fact that he went in the fourth, I thought he would go a little bit higher than that, but I think it was a good fit for them. So I like what they got going on. We'll see. We shall definitely see. Let's move on to the linebacker position, the position that Washington seems to have devalued because we bypassed all of those linebackers and went for secondary in line, which we needed, but we still need a linebacker. So, we'll start right off the top. We'll go inside with two of the guys that I really loved. One that kind of surprised me, and Jack Campbell going. Not that he went to you guys, but he went to you guys at 18. I don't. Again, that it's where I saw your board and kind of where they saw it. So it was two different things. But then Drew Sanders going from Arkansas to the Broncos on a defense that is pretty solid. I love that pick as well. But with you guys, Jack Campbell going 18th overall. I love Jack Campbell, what he can bring. But are you happy with that position, getting him there?
I was ecstatic when we picked him. I'm almost even happier now. This was my favorite linebacker by a mile. Like I said, the more tape I watch on him, the more I see Kuechly. Maybe not the first ballot Hall of Famer that Kuechly is, but Kuechly when he was coming into the NFL. Yeah. Very athletic, good in coverage, very nasty, gritty tackler. If you said, find me the ultimate Dan Campbell player, it might be Jack Campbell.
Yeah. His son. No relation, guys. No relation.
I wish there was some sort of relation there. But yeah, this was one where, again, what I was hearing was if he was there for Buffalo at 27 before they traded up and took Kincaid, that they were very, very interested in Jack Campbell. So I don't think he was there probably even when we picked at 34, and Brad Holmes said the exact same thing. He said if we thought he'd be there at 34, we'd wait. But we were almost certain he wasn't going to be there. So we just took him there. On the draft show, it was just like when we actually picked, I was just like, okay, well, Gibbs picks, we have no idea who the hell's going.
Right.
So wait and see. And then they said Jack Campbell, and I just popped. I was so excited.
Yep.
I cannot wait to see this guy on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned who's the linebacker you mentioned that you said his who you think he was like?
Oh, Kuechly.
I want to go somebody that's more in-house from the history books of the Lions. Guy Spielman. That. Yep. I grew up with this guy, and for a while it was all Washington and then just certain players. And obviously I had my eye on you guys because of Barry. I'm one of the biggest Barry fans. But Spielman, that he embodies my whole life. Rub dirt on it. Hey, if we're not winning a playoff game, ain't nothing. Okay, we don't want to just go to the dance. We want to win the day. Like he's just that fire, man. I love what he brings to the table. And even just looking at the picture of Jack Campbell, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Spielman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to have to drag me off the field. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is Campbell's going to be on the field every down. He's
Yep.
great in coverage. He's great against the run. He's so freaking athletic.
Yep.
And the coverage was what made me think of Kuechly, honestly, because they play that zone coverage the same way. It's a lot of that risk to it. They'll sit a bit lower and try and bait the quarterback to throw over the top because they can jump up and snatch it. There's so much of that on tape. There's multiple in the Ohio State game from this past year where one he actually picked Stroud off baiting him. And then there were a couple that he got in the way of after just kind of sitting there almost like turn this way, kind of watching this guy, knowing there was a guy right behind him. So smart, instinctive, athletic player. I cannot wait because my whole thing was Anzalone's brutal in coverage. So this is your coverage guy. Anzalone can still kind of do what he does. And then it's interesting to see where Malcolm Rodriguez fits in here.
Ooh. Yeah, could he be a casualty, or you think they fit him in?
No, he'll at the very worst he'd be in the rotation. If they run 2 linebackers, he'll be in the rotation with those 2. In a 3 linebacker set, it'll be Campbell, Anzalone, and Rodriguez.
Okay, I like that. Going down the list at linebacker, I said Drew Sanders in the 3rd. Dayon Henley out of Washington State. Getting picked in the 3rd. Same with Trenton Simpson. DeMarvion Overshown out of Texas. There was a run in the 3rd, essentially, especially late 3rd on linebackers. But one that I was talking to our guy Nick about, Noah Sewell. You and I have mentioned him. Yeah, obviously, that was somebody you had your eyes on. But he falls to the 5th round, and Nick was ecstatic. I love him. He's very underrated. We've seen the pedigree and the family name, and we see how good he is with you guys. And I love this in a way because now it's kind of like it's a little sibling rivalry, kind of like what it is with Amon-Ra St. Brown, his brother.
Yeah.
You know? So I love this, man.
This is almost kind of the second best scenario for me because I wanted him to be a Lion and go against Panay in practice every day. But to potentially see that matchup twice a year, yeah, that's a lot of fun. And if he had to go in division, I'm glad it was to Chicago. I'm shocked that he was 5th round. I am absolutely shocked. I thought 3rd round. But then again, I was shocked that Trenton Simpson went as late as he did. Like, the linebackers kind of slid a bit.
Yeah.
Especially the order when they went.
Yeah, that surprised me as well because there's a lot of guys that dropped that I didn't think would drop. Sewell being one of them, but I didn't see Trenton Simpson being, the 5th guy, 6th guy off the board. And Marte Mapu of Sacramento State getting picked up by the Patriots, another pick that no clue about. But I mean, have you seen any tape on this guy? I mean,
not one bit. The only draft or like highlight I saw of him was when they picked him, and then you see the little bit of highlight tape for like 30 seconds while they're describing him. That's all I saw of him. So
very interesting. He's only 6'3", 217 guy. So the guy could play. He has like the size of a safety or a wide receiver, essentially. Mm-hmm. He's an older guy that's 23. Apparently he's a rangy run defender and powerful striker with good stopping power. But again, Sacramento State, I'm looking at size. Where are they going to put this guy? You know, I mean, you're talking linebacker, but hey, again, it's Belichick. Belichick's also the same guy that this year picked a kicker and I believe a punter in the draft. So
I believe so, yeah.
I'm not even going to try to understand what he's doing. But yeah, this guy I didn't even have on my draft board. So it's an understatement to say that I'm very surprised that he gets picked up before Trenton Simpson, who ends up going to the Ravens, or DeMarvion Overshown, who ends up going to Dallas. Dallas, I feel like Dallas watched our show and just looked at every person that I said I'd like, and they said, you know what? We're going to get him. Bring him over here. Yep.
Man, and like that to me is like when I saw Overshown, I saw Micah Parsons.
Right.
And now that they're on the same defense, I was just like, come on, man. Like,
not good.
It's just not fair. It's just that nasty, aggressive, instinctive linebacker can play the edge, can do it all. I was just like, man, like, why did he have to go there?
I'm regretting doing this show because I didn't really pay attention to Dallas. And now it's like, God, come on, man. Because it was funny. Janae hit me up and she was like, number one defense. Yeah, we got the number one defense. And I'm like, man, y'all were nothing last year. But now I'm thinking Gilmore, DeMarvion Overshown. I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. Mozzie Smith. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's like, for me with Dallas, they got Mozzie Smith. They got Luke Schoonmaker, the two early Michigan guys. I love Overshown. They got Overshown.
Right.
Like, damn, I got to pay more attention to that this year.
Right? No, God. Oh. All right, we're moving on. I can't think about Dallas doing good anymore. All right, let's go to the outside linebacker. Obviously, Will Anderson. They traded up to get him at 3. Will McDonald, the 4th, out of Iowa State, gets picked up at 15 before Nolan Smith, before a number of these guys. Are you surprised by that, going to the Jets?
Yes. To me, when Andrew had asked us, like, day 2 or day 3 of the draft, essentially, what our thought was for the worst pick of night 1. And to me, it was Van Ness or Will McDonald. To me, it was those two. And this is another one where I think they wanted Gibbs or they wanted Broderick Jones. Both of them were off the board, so they're like, crap, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we already traded back. We got to take somebody. And they settled on Will McDonald. Of all people, this was a guy I like. Will McDonald as a prospect, but as a 2nd-round prospect. Same with Van Ness.
Yeah.
To take him at 15 was crazy early, in my opinion.
I didn't understand it. I mean, we've been covering these guys all off season. We saw him and how much his stock was rising at the pro day and the combine and things like that. But still, in my opinion, it wasn't enough to vault him into the 1st round, much less the 15th overall pick. You know what I mean? So, hey, more power to him. Let's see what he does. And we already know that defense is solid. So hopefully he'll be able to get him off the edge, and we'll see what he does in coverage. But still, to go before Nolan Smith, to go before Jack Campbell of you guys, it's just extremely surprising.
Yeah. Very much so.
And obviously we know Will Anderson Jr., like I said, going early, he was the best. He could have easily gone edge, if not, outside linebacker. Nolan Smith going to the Eagles at 31. And let me stop here because there's a trend here, okay, ladies and gentlemen. The Eagles got Nolan Smith. They got Jalen Carter. You'll see a little bit later they got Keely Ringo. And then, I forgot about this. I have a bone to pick with you, Alex. And then my dear friend over here decides that him and his team want to trade DeAndre Swift to the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, and
are you trying to sabotage me, man? What's going on?
Not to mention they draft last year, too.
Right.
Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. They are the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
That's it. Yes, that's what it is. That's their new name. They play in the NFC East and the SEC, and apparently they can do that. I don't know, but that to me is just out of this world. Seeing the picks that they got, we're talking about 5 members of the national championship team from 2 years ago, and then 2 guys or 3 guys from the championship team this past year. I mean, you got that kind of talent, that kind of caliber. You got 2
that chemistry.
Right. And you got 2 guys that have been in the league for a year. And that is invaluable because those are the guys that can tell the other young guys, especially a Carter who maybe have some, issues, off the field. Hey, come in here, keep your nose clean. You know what I mean? Stay out of the spotlight, that type of stuff. It's easier because of that chemistry to have that guy who you've played with, who you won with. It's easier to listen to that guy than it is to a random guy that's, he's a team leader, so he's going to come tell you how to do your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll listen to Carter and Dean, before those other guys. So, yeah, that Philly, man, they just did big things in the draft. And to get all the daggone Bulldogs, I don't know how they were able to, first and foremost. How did every other team allow that? But, I mean, it's just amazing.
Know.
I mean, Howie Roseman, he's got a little pipeline to Philly. Like, is that what's going on?
Has he got Kirby Smart on speed dial or something? Like,
right?
What's going on here?
Come on now. So, hey, we'll see what goes on. Anybody else? I know BJ Ojolari goes to the Cardinals, which was a huge pick. Nick Herbig going to the Steelers. I loved that one.
Yeah.
Any other picks that you saw that really kind of struck you?
I mean, I don't know whether they're going to play him an outside or inside linebacker. We kind of touched on him earlier, though. Trenton Simpson. This was outside of Jack Campbell, just the bias there. This was my favorite linebacker pick. Man, you're pairing him with Roquan Smith. If you put him in the middle of that defense in that 3-4, good Lord, that's
right.
Crazy athletic, good in coverage, nasty tackler. Like that. I've said all along Campbell was my favorite linebacker, but Trenton Simpson was my number one linebacker.
Yep.
So for him to be like the fifth backer off the board and to go to Baltimore of all places,
right?
That was another one where it's like, man, like why did everyone else leave him for there?
Right, exactly. The rich getting richer on defense because they already have a solid defense. That's another one who I wanted, but Washington was able to get KJ Henry, also out of Clemson. He played edge. And I look, this guy's like 6'5", 250, the great size for it. He's got speed. This guy was a 5-star coming out of high school that came out of high school as not only an edge rusher, but also a tight end. So the guy he's definitely an athlete. And he also, when he was in high school, he was an All-American basketball player. You know what I mean? So that makes me think, okay, we're not just going to, have you stuck at edge if that don't work. We could potentially move you back in the secondary because you got the wheels for that. He's I think 4'4", 4'5" guy. You know what I mean? We can move you all around, man. So I'm excited about that. We got him later, but still, I'm looking at some of these guys that went earlier, and I'm like, dang. Dan Henley, Trent Simpson, DeMarvion Overshown, all these guys were on my board where I was like, come on. Even Sewell, I'm like, he dropped this far and we didn't even take a look at him? Like, what are we doing? So, yeah, still at odds with my front office, but it is what it is. And let's go to that last position group. We'll do secondaries with corners and safeties. And I'm going to start on this one, and I'm going to start with corner. We knew Devin Witherspoon was going to go early, and when he went to Seattle at 5, okay, I was good with that. I didn't have an issue. Then we get to 16, and Christian Gonzalez is still on the board. And I'm going to tell you, Alex, I've talked to you about this before. I was ready. I was actually on the other show with the Terribly Toxic show, and it was coming up, and they asked me beforehand. I was like, yeah, Christian Gonzalez. Next pick.
Yeah.
When they read Emmanuel Forbes, I was silent. They were like, "Oh, how do you feel?" How am I supposed to feel? Christian Gonzalez was right there ahead of him, and then gets picked next. What?
To New England.
Right. Come on, man. So I don't know. Hey, maybe this is the guy on our board that we like or everything. But in hindsight, and looking at this now, he was one of the top 5 guys that was on that you and I had talked about. Witherspoon, Forbes, Gonzalez, Deonte Banks, and Porter. Those are the first 5 corners off the board, followed by Julius Brents. At the end of the day, I'm not upset. This guy's a ball hawk. He creates turnovers. He gets a hand on the ball. I love that. I absolutely love that. So, and I'm glad we ended up doing that early. But Chris Gonzalez was a steal at 17. I'm glad they got him, and he's not in our division. But Deonte Banks, man, you and I talked about him out of Maryland. For him to go to the Giants, man, that's a sweet little pickup right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sweet pickup.
What I've been hearing with Gonzalez is apparently the top 30 visits he had with teams did not go well.
Really?
Apparently, a lot of teams weren't happy with the interview part of that, and kind of pushed him down the board. So that's why he was still there. Yeah. Just that's what I saw. Again, don't know if any of this is true or not because you only see it on the internet, right? So, but yeah, that's what I saw, which is kind of why he got pushed down because he was a guy where I was like, and even Sid in our North Sports group chat was just like, man, Lions traded down to 12 and could still get Gonzalez. Like, okay. And then I was sitting there like, okay, he might be there at 18. Like, okay, here we go. And then he got taken at 17. I was just like, oh man, like, but yeah. And then yeah, Banks to New York. That's one where like he moves so well.
Yeah.
Like that is your man cover corner. Adoree Jackson might be on the way out because they play the same kind of style.
Yeah.
Same athletic profile, all that. So Adoree Jackson, if you're not out this year, it might be next year.
Yeah. Writing's on the wall when they pick up somebody like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then obviously Porter goes to the Steelers. Everybody saw that coming. Cam Smith going paired with Xavier Howard in Miami. Talk about a ball hawk.
And Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. And I forgot about that. Wow. Oh, like man.
Cam Smith is your third corner there.
Wow, man.
Miami's
turning it up. Woo, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
you didn't have a first-round pick, and your first two picks end up being Cam Smith and Devon Achane. That's a pretty good draft.
Right. You're pretty solid with that. Woo. Oh, yeah. So I'm eager to see what he brings to the table. Tyreek Stevenson goes to Chicago, which is something they definitely needed. And DJ Turner, your boy out of Michigan, going to the Bengals. And, hey, they spent some solid picks on defense, man. I like them getting that pick.
Well, and you're pairing Turner back up with Daxton Hill, who they drafted last year. So, and we talk about this chemistry, whether it's quarterback, wide receiver, the Philadelphia Bulldogs, just getting teammates together with somebody that's already been there and done that and can kind of show them the ropes, someone they're comfortable with. It's phenomenal. The Bengals can start to rely on Eli Apple a little bit less, which is a very smart idea.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of DJ Turner in Cincinnati. You need somebody to cover Zay Flowers, especially him going in division. DJ Turner had the fastest 40 out of anyone. So he was 4.27. So yeah, he got blazing speed, and he doesn't have a lot of tape because the Big Ten quarterbacks kind of just avoided him for the most part. Yep. So same thing with like Gonzalez, those kind of guys. So yeah, I love Turner. I'm glad he went to Cincinnati, and I can't wait to see what he does there.
Man, he's gonna light it up, man. And I forgot that his boy Daxton Hill's over there. So yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be right at home. I love that, man. I absolutely love that. Let's go up. So we got Kelee Ringo win the 4th round to the Eagles.
I still don't get that.
I can't. I don't even. I'm moving past it because I can't stay there. I will be depressed. All right. It's craziness. The fact that he was in the 4th, it reminds me of Nakobe Dean last year. We let him drop. Why don't you just take a chance on these guys? Oh, okay. I'm getting a little heated. Clark Phillips at Atlanta. Darrell Luter Jr., San Francisco, all solid pickups. Corner was definitely deep in this year's draft, and we mentioned that earlier. And also with safety, you guys started off with Brian Branch. We loved him.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that was somebody I was very high on. I thought 16, 17, 18 was kind of the earliest he should go.
Yeah.
But man, to get him all the way down in the 40s.
Yeah.
That was one where just like to get Gibbs and Campbell and everyone's like, okay, these are 2nd round guys. You got them in the 1st round. Then I fired back like, okay, we got our 1st round guy in the 2nd round. We're good. Like,
exactly.
We got this. We're good. But I cannot wait to see where he fits in, because you've got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Tracy Walker, and Kirby Joseph as safeties already. Branch can play that slot corner. So can Gardner-Johnson. Yep. This might be one of those scenarios where he just kind of figures out his role this year, and then when Gardner-Johnson inevitably gets more money next year and we can't afford to pay him, then Branch slides into that role. yeah, I can't wait to see where he fits.
Yeah, that was our consensus pick is who we wanted at safety. And see, you guys got him 2 picks before us. I think that definitely moved us to the direction of picking up Jartavius Martin, otherwise known as Quan Martin, out of Illinois. And then the fact that the next safety that went off the board was Sidney Brown out of Illinois as well. So, hey, those guys were definitely solid guys. I love who he played with, and we'll see what he brings. Jair Brown with San Francisco. Jordan Battle, another guy that's dominating at Alabama. He went to the Bengals, and that Bengals secondary is looking sharp right
now. Battle's a guy where if he came out last year like he should have, he's a first-round guy.
Easily.
He came back this year, kind of struggled, and dropped this far, but, I mean, he's going to go right away to have a chance to win, just like he did at Alabama. And then, yeah, pairing him with Turner, Hill, and whatever else they're going to show up with in that secondary, probably Chidobe Awuzie as that other corner. That's a good young secondary there. Cannot wait to see how that shakes out there.
Yeah, man, that's going to be exciting to watch, man. A lot of turnovers potentially coming out of that secondary. We go down to the 4th round. Jay Ward at LSU goes to Minnesota. JL Skinner, you and I had talked about him. He drops all the way to the 6th round, and the Broncos get him as a steal. He gets to keep the same colors. I love that pick for Denver. We talked about that, them getting another defensive member earlier in this. You pair a Skinner with the likes of a Patrick Surtain in that backfield. You know what I mean? You get these guys flying around, man. Skinner, very underrated. We definitely we're high on him coming into the draft, and this is a steal, in my opinion.
This whole safety group was very weird. I mean, you had some of these guys kind of go way later, way higher. Someone we were also very high on, Brandon Joseph, went undrafted.
Yeah.
So it just
surprising.
Yeah. And we had Jair Brown like 8th, 9th, 10th on the safety list. He was the 3rd safety gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of those where it's just kind of like it was a good safety class and an interesting one to kind of see how it shook out. But it was very unpredictable just based on how we had it going here.
I mean, look at Antonio Johnson at a Texas A&M.
I was just gonna say that.
I mean,
our number 2 safety.
Right, the fact that he drops to the 5th round and almost out of the 5th round. He's another one that, I mean, we got Quan Martin, so I was good, but still, I'm like, damn, this guy's dropping all the way. I mean, do we need to just get a guy just to have him on the team? Because, I mean, if he's going to drop this far.
And he's one of those safety / corners again. So, for a team that needs secondary help just in general, that was one where I was kind of like, okay, somebody should take a chance on him now. Like,
right. and I
Jacksonville to get him.
Again, adding to that weapon, adding to that arsenal out there. They definitely are going to be good with that help. Yeah, that was definitely somebody I was interested in. And that's where it's funny because, I was talking to Will. We were talking about, getting the guys on your board as opposed to getting the best player available. And that's one thing when you're talking the 1st, 2nd round. But when you're down here in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, if you got a guy that's supposed to have been going, in the 2nd, you pick him up. You know what I mean? So surprising that both of those guys dropped, and Skinner and Johnson. But hey, steals for both those teams, Broncos and Jags, and let's see if that stuff translates, man. Because we're talking about 2 teams that are. I mean, one in the Jags that's definitely on the come up, and the Broncos. We're expecting solid things from them. We've been expecting it with Russ and everything. So let's see if it comes to fruition this year.
Yeah, if they get quarterback play, that's another contender right away.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, real quick, we're gonna shoot it out. The teams that had the most picks in the college teams that had the most guys picked. And right now it's a tie between Georgia and Alabama, both of them having 10 guys picked in the round. And Alex, are you aware of who's number 3?
I am, yeah.
Yep.
It's us. We had 9 guys go, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely on that. Scott saying, sorry guys, I've been busy. Hey, all good, Scott. All good.
All good.
You missed out. We gave away prizes. We asked a question that could have been a prize-worthy moment, but you missed it. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. We gave a prize to whoever's team got Hendon Hooker.
There it is. You know, and we gave the Stetson Bennett award. No. Come on, man. You come on time every week, man. You pick this week to be off. Come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And it's funny. So the first 4 teams that are the top 4 teams as far as draft picks from schools are concerned was the Final 4 from a year ago. You got Alabama. You got Georgia. Wait. No. Bama didn't make it.
Alabama was 5.
Ohio State was
the other 4, yeah.
So, yeah, well, then Georgia, Michigan, TCU got them. Ohio State's down at, I believe, 7. They're tied
they had
with
6.
6. Yeah. They had 6.
Clemson, Florida, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, and Pittsburgh. All had 6.
Oh, yeah. Which is definitely nice. We're going to go down and see if we can see South Carolina, Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, Maryland, Purdue, and Stanford all have 5. And then you can go down there and see North Carolina at 4, baby. We had 4, 1 pick in the 3rd, 1 pick in the 5th, and 2 in the 7th. So I like it.
Yeah.
Names on the list. So the teams that were the best teams last year and the teams that have been consistently the best teams over the past couple of years, we've seen it's definitely shown out. I'm not even going to show what it is by division or by conference, because the SEC has a lot of them blown out the water, and it's been that way for a while.
So
Mizzou had
if you look
guy.
at it, yeah, they were 7 players ahead of second place, and then there's a massive drop from 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna look up the ACC, but
ACC's 3rd. Yeah,
we're 3rd. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So SEC is 62. The Big Ten has 55. And then the ACC is 32.
Okay, all right.
There's a massive drop.
Oh, snap! Oh, Ivy Division 2. Okay, all right. Not that bad. Or on the come up. You know, doing what we do. But yeah, SEC. We've seen what kind of talent they produce, and right now, Alabama and Georgia. I mean, head and shoulders up there. But you guys are not far. You know, so yeah, we shall see. Hey. There it is, guys. We've been here talking this stuff. We led you up to the draft, and this is kind of where we're at. Now the draft is over. Now these guys can get in there with their respective teams, talk about rookie minicamp, get in the NFL, get the feel of how everything is, and let's get right to that. Let's get ready for that season, man. Season's right around the corner, baby. Let's go.
I cannot wait.
Man, I love it. And so we're definitely going to be focusing on, talking spring games, talking transfers, who's our, top picks for, certain division conferences, teams, players, who's going to be the stars, all these things as we start to slowly descend into the 2023-2024 college football season. And I for one, and I'm pretty sure my guy over here can share my sentiment, I, for one, absolutely cannot wait.
I'm right there with you, man.
Ready
right
for it
there
to happen,
with you.
man. Definitely ready for it to have the Chiefs now have at least 3 Mizzou players on their Super Bowl winning team. My goodness. Hey, there you go, Mizzou. There you go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we've been on here for a while. I got to go ahead and shut this place down. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here, man. It has been a pleasure, as always, my guy. Mr. Alex Loosemore. You know who it is. It's your boy, Sean Spencer, Mr. Tar Heel for sure. Hey, we will be with you guys next time. Definitely stay tuned. Stay tuned for my guy, Restoring the Roar. Going on tonight. Yeah, you know.
No, we're gonna do next week. We're gonna go over the Lions schedule.
Okay. Yes. And stay tuned for that because Thursday, the NFL schedule comes out.
Release is Thursday. Yeah, full schedule release.
Absolutely. Are you guys doing the NFL edition, doing something special on that one?
Yeah, it's gonna be full schedule release. We'll go over a bunch of the team schedules. Basically, pretty much kind of do like whoever's hopping on. We'll look at their teams, kind of do a knee-jerk prediction, kind of see where everyone has their team at now. Then we'll look kind of closer to the regular season, and then we'll kind of look at both of those at the end of the season.
Oh, I like that. I absolutely like that. All right. Well, you know where I will be. I will be here. So if I'm not leaving work, I'll definitely hop on there and try to stay on longer than last week. You know?
So sounds good. Security doesn't have to pull you out this time for bed.
Right. So we will definitely be back. I think we're gonna have to go next Tuesday. This weekend's Mother's Day, so I will be traveling to North Carolina.
I'm traveling too, so
yeah. So we will definitely be coming back to you either next Tuesday or the following week. We will definitely get this stuff to you. There is not a lot going on, but at the same time, there is a lot of stuff that we can recap and kind of see where do we go from here. You know?
100%.
Oh, absolutely. Steal for the Chiefs. Hey, almost was. If that second, what was it, fumble return or the second interception? The fumble return. If that second one had gone through, he would have been MVP, to be honest with you. That would have been my vote.
Oh, yeah.
And it came out of nowhere. So, Scott, we appreciate you watching us, even though it's about time for us to get on out of here, man. But definitely stay tuned next time. Like I said, for your boy Sean Spencer, my guy over there, Alex Loosemore, we appreciate you, and we will see you next time.